Rico was born in 2014. He was diagnosed.
Okay, we are back. Welcome to the Crusaders. I did not really have a topic for this presentation, but it's been a while since I've loosened up and just went on a rant. You know, my rants are therapeutic. I need them every now and then. I need to just freestyle and talk about how much I hate, deeply hate these worthless parasites and their worthless owners. Now, bear with me. I am still trying to be more respectful to these dog lovers, but it is so difficult. So difficult. And over the past 2 weeks, the thing that has upset me most often is seeing these people revere these worthless, grotesque mutants, ugly, disgusting, overgrown rodents. It is so infuriating the way they deify these things. People, they deify these things. There is nothing that these dog lovers praise and honor and showcase and show off more than these dogs. It is at a level of obsession with these people. Now, many of you have some of these people on your Facebook, and it's like every other photo has something to do with their sloppy faced, nasty mutt. Right? Many of you, you have to block these people because you cannot stomach the posts that comes from their profile. A nasty, worthless mutant every other post. And then when you get away from social media, you try to enjoy television, and what do you see? More mutts. All over the movies, all over the commercials. You can't escape them. You cannot escape them. No, I do not have, I have a Facebook, but I don't use it. I'm working on creating another one. That is a very important social media platform that I need to utilize more often. But this is a type of evil. This is an overt type of evil. This dog love culture. You know, this deification of these child predators needs to stop. This is beyond immoral. It is absolute insanity, overt evil. Now, a lot of dog lovers, a lot of neutral people, they hear me talk like this and they think to themselves that I have to be ridiculous because dog love is a part of the culture, as if to say that anything accepted by mainstream society, it has to be okay. It has to be morally just. It has to be normal. That is why it is very important to be very mindful of history. Our history is full of things that causes us to scratch our head today. And it's hard to believe that at some point in history, we actually co-signed with some of the things that we did. So we are still evolving. We have to face that. We have to accept that. We're still evolving. Now, I believe humans have been on this planet for tens of millions of years. Not as apes and monkeys. I don't believe we came from no apes and monkeys. We have been on this planet for tens of millions of years, just like other animals, in our current state. If you do your research, you will find that horses have been on this planet tens of millions of years. Every animal you research, they've been on this planet for tens of millions of years. Some of them hundreds of millions. But when they get around to humans, they have the audacity to tell us that we've only been evolving for about 200,000 years. Are you out of your mind? Do you really believe that? How is it that the most sophisticated organism is the newest organism? How is it that these other creatures on this planet have not developed language or human intelligence, level intelligence, yet they've been on this planet millions of years longer than us? I don't think so. So humans have gone through several periods of being knocked back into the Stone Age, right? They will reach a height of evolution. There will be a catastrophe, knocks them back, and then they have to start all over. We are still in that process. We are still evolving, and it is our job to push that evolution, right? And this is for people all over the world. I am an American, born and raised. On both sides of my family, we are American. There are no immigrants in my lineage. Nowhere. We've traced our roots back to the census of the 1870s. I am descended from Americans who were enslaved. It is part of my culture to fight against forces of evil. It is a genetic memory, not just for African Americans, but there have been several white Americans. They don't like to talk about it, but for the entire duration of slavery, you had several white people getting lynched because you always had a crowd of people, regardless of race, who are going against the ruling class, who are critical of the ruling class. And it is those grassroots people who help to bring into existence evolution. It is us, the grassroots people, who make the real change. And that is what this channel is all about, right? We are trying to bring about evolution. I think it is very disrespectful for these dog lovers to exist in our midst. Many of you have heard me talk about this repeatedly. These people maintain our species in a primitive state. That is very offensive to me. You maintain primitiveness among our species. I don't like that. I don't appreciate that one bit. Not only is it bad for you, it's bad for everyone. The nerve of these people to put other people's lives at risk, other people's health at risk. It is a violation of our human right. We have the right to walk freely without having to worry about being attacked and mutilated. And this is a right that these dog nuts deny us. That has to stop. And you have to wonder, how is it even possible for so many humans to lack so much respect for the evolution of our species? It is mind-boggling to me. How could you not appreciate the unique qualities of human beings? Do you not take any pride whatsoever in the fact that we are the only creatures who use language? Do you know how sophisticated that is? How powerful language is? These live streams is nothing but me communicating with you using language. An endless amount of knowledge is transferred. This is what makes humans the rulers of this planet. We can exchange information. We can analyze things. We have an awareness of the universe itself, an awareness that there is a higher power, a life force. Even if you are atheists, most atheists believe that there is some sort of higher power, a life force, a force in this universe that makes life itself possible. And it's only humans who can recognize and study this. How could you not have more respect for yourself as a human being? Again, it is mind-boggling. You should view humans, the human family, you should view humans like cells in a body that either duplicate or kill other cells. If you, as a group, operate in such a way that you kill other cells, then you are a negative force in existence that needs to be corrected. It is as simple as that. When you have an infection and it kills your cells, you're going to be sick. You're going to be in terrible condition. Your top priority is to get rid of that virus or whatever it is that is causing destruction to other cells. There is thus no way to rationalize the presence of these overgrown rats. You cannot justify their presence. I said it countless times. I will say it again. These things need to be exterminated from the face of the planet. All world governments should unite and get rid of these parasites with legs. Respect the human species. We are living in an era where humans don't respect themselves. That is not good. That is very bad. That shows that we are very much lost. We don't even have a proper grasp on our very existence. And this is not rocket science. This is something that should be common sense, at least for us with the intelligence that we have. This is an overt display of evil. People, I have to hammer this home. There is no other entity on this planet that attacks and mutilates children like dogs. It's not even close. Not even close. Now think about it. I gave this scenario before. Could you imagine finding a serial killer? Even worse, a child serial killer, right? Let's be specific. A child serial killer. Could you imagine catching this man or woman? And then the authorities say, well, he only killed 35, 40 people per year. That's not that much. We'll let him go. Could you imagine that? Oh, 35, 40, 45 deaths per year. That's not that many. Who cares? This is exactly how they deal with these mutts. Oh, 35, 40 deaths. That's not that much. There's no reason to even pass laws that regulate dog owners, people who are allowed to own dogs. There's no regulation at all. They're legal. Anyone can own them. This is not intelligent. This is insane. This works against our very existence. But it's even worse than that, because that only deals with deaths. The attacks that victims suffer from dogs is the worst possible kind. Like I said before, it's mutilation. You're talking about not the serial killer who goes around shooting people in the head. No, you're talking about a serial killer who mutilates his victims or her victims, who kills them slowly, chops pieces of their body out bit by bit, rips holes into their body. This is dog attacks. So it's not simply a matter of dogs biting people. We're talking about gruesome mutilations here. And when you go further than mere deaths and you deal with attacks, you are dealing with a much higher number than 35, 40, 50 people. You're talking about over 2,000 bites per day. You're talking about tens of thousands of mutilations per day. Could you imagine, again, a serial killer who has mutilated but hasn't successfully killed 30,000 people per year? Do you really think we would tolerate such a person, even if it were a group? We would not tolerate a group like that, an individual like that, and we should not tolerate these mutts. That is what makes it so evil. And we haven't even touched on how these things contaminate our atmosphere, our land, and our water. Just the attacks alone is overwhelming. So you have to ask, how could we possibly, it's an insult to our intelligence, to our existence, to entertain this disgusting culture. We have to push for the evolution of our culture. You never stay stagnant. That's one of the qualities of humans as species. We have the ability to constantly evolve ourselves. Never acceptable to get comfortable in your current state or your current culture. Just like with any business, many of you at your job, you have a policy there. What is it? Constant improvements. Make constant improvements. Always look for ways to improve customer satisfaction, efficiency, production, right? So that same principle applies to humans, to our culture. And I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here in silence and watch this group of dog lovers keep our species in a primitive state, an evil, self-destructive state, to entertain, embrace a child sacrificial culture. You are out of your mind. Like I said, this is something straight out of a movie. The Dark Ages. It's darker than the Dark Ages. Kids are not attacked by anything or anyone like they are attacked by dogs. Another question then, where is your sense of protection, you primitive people? Does that not embarrass you? How could you not feel ashamed that you are the only creatures on this planet that does not take every step possible to protect their young? The very fact that that does not embarrass you dog lovers is troubling to me. It is very troubling. Somebody sent me an email. I can't remember word for word, but it was something like, it's easier to brainwash people than it is to convince them that they are brainwashed. And that is true, very true. These brainwashed dog lovers, no matter how much truth you provide to them, they still sit there with this blank, stupid look on their face, and none of it hits home. It's as if they are programmed in a certain way, and you have to snap out of it. Simple as that. Now, could you imagine? We found this serial killer. This man or woman has killed or kills on average 35, 40, 50 people per year. Could you imagine that we not only refuse to arrest him or her, but we're going to actually deify this serial killer? We're going to make this serial killer an icon in our country. Isn't that embarrassing? I mentioned before that these people, they have no conscience almost. You know, knowing that there are children laying in the hospital, torn to pieces, their parents don't know if they're going to live, knowing that this is the case, at least some of these dog lovers should question their decision to own these things. It never dawns on them that one of these things has mutilated many and has many people, children, in the hospital fighting for their lives right now. Never dawns on them. These are child predators. Not only do we refuse to get rid of them, we deify them, right? They worship dogs more than they worship and appreciate. I mean, these things are revered more than anything. Parents more so than their own children. Most of them hate their children. They would much rather spend all day with their worthless, brainless, food-obsessed mutt. Isn't it pathetic? You should also be ashamed. No matter how much I come to grips with this. I can never fully wrap my mind around it. You should feel pathetic that you have to feed a food obsessed mutant and then pretend as if this thing loves you. All of you know, all of these dog nuts, they are fully aware that that dog's motivation to stay with them as the owner, to tolerate their presence, these dog lovers know full well that it's all about food. They know it. They know it. Again, that is why as soon as they purchase a mutt, the first thing they do is feed it, stuff its ugly, stinking face with food over and over until that dog associates them with eating. That is how you get friendship. Are you that pathetic that you have to resort to such behavior for companionship? Really? Isn't the whole point in companionship to have the other living entity appreciate your character, who you are as a person, your personality? Dogs don't understand any of that. Instead, you want to pretend as if the dogs do. That's embarrassing. How are you not embarrassed by that? You have to, and dogs, like I said, they are addicted to food. I showed a study where they explained how dogs, the brain chemistry of the dog actually changes in the presence of food. It is so bad with these mutants that they will ignore danger if food is present. And again, that is the very opposite of what happens to humans. Those of you who did not see that video, right? The experts themselves broke this down. They said a dog will ignore what it previously saw as a threat if food becomes present while it detects this threat. It could see something or be in the room with something that it perceives to be a deadly threat. You put a bowl of food in front of the mutt, its mind is completely taken off the threat. Like I said before, you could lead these mutts into their own demise with food. And the experts talked about how when it comes to humans, in the presence of a threat, we lose our appetite. No matter how hungry you are, if you suddenly go into fight or flight mode, you're going to lose your appetite and your body is going to focus on survival. That's intelligence. So this thing is unbelievably obsessed and addicted to food. They're gluttonous. And you take these same creatures and feed them over and over until it identifies you or associates you with eating, the thing that it's obsessed with the most, obsessed with eating more so than even surviving. You feed this thing, feed it, it associates you with food, and now you want to pretend that it appreciates your character. You want to pretend that this thing loves you. That's pathetic. Pathetic, that's a light word. That is embarrassing. Again, it bothers me that these people are not embarrassed by that. There is nothing honorable. You and your stupid social media platform, you uploading these goofy pictures of you with that ugly, disgusting mutt, and you have this stupid smile on your face. You think it's so no, you look like a bumbling idiot. You should be embarrassed. It is shameful, disgraceful. I cannot think of a more overt way to degrade our very existence as human beings than for you to pretend as if you are friends with a food-obsessed mutant. These people have to accept this truth. They have to come to grips and they have to eventually become embarrassed by this embarrassing behavior. If not, they will continue in their ways and they will continue to contaminate everybody else in the society. And again, this disgusting dog nut culture, it prevents the human species from evolving. You are wasting too much energy, love on something that does not reciprocate it, that does not make anything out of your love, like a child would. You empower children with attention, energy, love, and they grow up to be productive citizens. Dogs, it completely goes to waste. So the energy, attention, passion, love that you put into these mutts, if you redirected it to the human species would then evolve. So these people prevent us from evolving. And this is not a theory, this is an actual fact. I've heard kids even talk about how their parent loves the dog more than them. You can Google that. You'll find several confessions from people who say that their parents love the dog more than them. You'll find the people themselves, the dog lovers themselves, saying, yeah, I love my dog more than my kids. You don't think that prevents the human species from evolving? Do you know that attention and love given to a growing child actually enhances their intelligence? They grow up with a greater intellectual capacity. It's not simply a sweet thing to do to give love and attention to your offspring. It enhances their intelligence. And because these people are giving it to 80 million dogs just in this country alone, we are stagnant. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. These people, you know, you listen to me, you listen to my videos. I am not trying to display authority here. I know a lot of people, they listen, they think, oh, I'm being like a boss or pushy. No, I am articulating the truth, relaying information to you, nothing more. And you have to deal with the information itself. Use your brain for something other than lying to yourself, telling yourself that some brainless mutt loves you, something that's incapable of love. You should be ashamed to even waste your brain on something like this. You know, waste your emotions in your brain on such a worthless entity like dogs. They are an absolute waste. And this is not something new. The Crusaders have been around for a while. They've just basically been underground. This article came out, I believe, 2010, October 2010, 10 years ago. The title, Dogs, Worthless, Vile Vermin. Title alone, you think that I wrote it. No, this was written long before I started my channel. We've been around for a while. People have been seeing this disgusting, dynamic dog nut culture probably for as long as it has been around. And it got real bad starting in the 90s. And today, it is worse than it has ever been. It is time to take up arms, which is information, and head out to the crusade. Full steam ahead. We are sick of this disgusting culture. You risk the life of everybody who comes into your dog's presence. Right? Now I'm dealing with these big dogs that are capable of severe damage. Right? But if there are babies present, then even small dogs are a deadly threat. They have killed babies before. The smallest dogs have killed babies. So nobody is trying to attack you as a dog lover. It is you. You're attacking others, and we are asking you to stop. We're asking you to stop putting other people's life in danger by exposing them to your stupid mutt, by bringing that worthless mutt into the neighborhood, period, because virtually all of these dog nuts, their dogs break free, run away. I saw one girl chasing in the middle of the road, chasing a pit bull. This thing was running away from her, and then it would stop and look back at her. It was checking to make sure it was getting away from her. And what is this with all these dogs who run away from their own? If they love you so much and love people so, why do they run away all the time? These things are brainless, worthless, and they are dangerous. They are toxic. Toxic. And you risk everyone's life. You put everybody's life and well-being, and many of you get a kick out of it. I showed the video where these people were getting off on the fact that they were scaring people as they walked their dog. She even titled the video, scaring people with our dog, these vile, disgusting mutants. And nothing irritates me more, nothing infuriates me more than to see how people deify and promote these things. Every other commercial, right? Anthropomorphism, all of that. It's not just humanizing these things. They project these things as if they are superior to humans. And these are all automobile commercials, people. I believe these two are a Subaru and this is Chevy. Putting dogs in vehicles, putting dogs everywhere, trying to project these things as if they're so loving. Keep in mind, these creatures are the only creatures that routinely, on a regular basis, attack children. Children are the most vulnerable creatures in our existence on this planet. The most vulnerable. All other living creatures keep dogs away from their young. And you're not embarrassed that you actually bring these things around your young. It is very disgusting when everywhere I look, I see stupid, criminal images like this, commercials, ads everywhere. And what do you see here? You see exactly what even the experts have told you to never do. There is no adult present. The experts themselves have told you never leave kids alone with dogs. And that is exactly what is promoted on a daily basis everywhere you look. They are promoting the idea of kids being alone with dogs. There's a lot of components that comes with this sick, disgusting culture. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. I cannot count the number of images where I see kids alone with dogs, right? And when you show them something like this, they tell you to put it away. I don't want to look at that. Don't show me that. Crazy. They actually are responsible for these mutilations, and at the same time, they don't want to look at them. No, you don't want to see what your actions actually cause. That lets you know when people are literally out of their minds. So everywhere you look, you see a stupid mutt on a commercial, a stupid mutt in a movie, cartoons, on ads. I am sick of this deification of these worthless mutants. Again, I have to emphasize nature never created dogs. Nature did not intend for these things to exist. Nature would never have created something so absurd, ugly. I mean, these things are uncouth. Doesn't it bother you that these things are so disgusting, loud, invasive, and stupid? Everything about dogs is something that they deserve to be hated for. The barking, the smell, the constant invasion of your person, staring at you while you eat, attacking people, right? Taking a dump any and everywhere, killing plant life with their urine. Everything about them is something that warrants being disgusted at their presence. But for some reason, it is not clicking. It is not clicking with these dog nuts. And you know, the power of propaganda is pretty amazing. I read this confession by this female. She grew up with a dog, and later on in her life, she got away from dogs. It was her parents' dog. So after she moved out, she said she went about 8 years dog free. And during that time, she said she wanted a dog because she saw dogs on TV all the time, commercials all the time, people talking about how wonderful dogs are. So this woman became a dog lover again because of the propaganda, how these things are projected on television, movies, ads, websites. It is disgusting, disgusting. And I'm sick of seeing these ugly rodents being projected as if they are so desirable. They are not. I mean, you remove the attacks from the equation, the mutilations from the equation, and dogs still are repulsive. They still deserve to be eradicated from the planet. So my anger, it is always in high drive when I see these stupid images of these mutts being projected as some type of hero, some type of god, some type of angel sent from the heavens for humans. And it gets even worse when I see things like this. I appreciate the people who send me videos and things through the email. Someone sent me this video and I was red hot, fuming, infuriated, right? Let's take a look at this filth.
New tonight, financial struggles because of COVID-19 are not only affecting people, but pets as well.
That's right. ABC Action News reporter Wendy Lane tonight learning why a surge in shelter dogs is now being blamed on the pandemic.
This is Latte. She's 11 and loves people, even though her people left her at the shelter.
Now, wait a minute. I believe I was on mute. We have to stop calling these things pets. Did you catch
New
that?
tonight, financial struggles because of COVID-19 are not only affecting people, but pets as well.
No. Stop calling these things pets. They are mutants. Mutants. Be very careful with how these people describe these things. They are very careful. And they always try to find some harmless name for these mutants, these child predators, right? These parasites with legs. They are not pets. They are mutants.
That's right. ABC Action News reporter Wendy Lane tonight learning why a surge in shelter dogs is now being blamed on the pandemic.
This is Latte. She's 11 and loves people, even though her people left her at the shelter.
The people were very frank with us that, they certainly couldn't take care of their pets anymore. They didn't know where they were going to be living.
Which is something Manatee County Animal Services says they're seeing way too much of. Since October, they've had a surge of people surrendering their pets. And in several cases, the animals were adopted
There they go
when
again.
the lockdowns.
There they go again. Call them what they are, mutants. They won't even say dogs. You notice that? They make it a point to always describe these things as pets. No, these are animals. Not even natural animals. They are mutants. That's what they are.
Started.
And now, because of the sort of extended struggles of COVID and the financial hardship people are facing, including evictions, that the pets are now ending up in the shelter, both through people giving up their pets to us through a surrendering process or sadly just letting them go.
Now, dogs like 11-year-old Latte are being hurt by the pandemic too, as the shelter fills up. Which is
What do you mean they're being hurt? No other animal is being hurt by being free. These people talk as if you don't own a dog, that somehow hurts the dog. Are deer and these other animals, are they suffering too? Because they are not being owned and fed by humans? I get sick of this propaganda projecting dogs as if they are our responsibility. No, they are not. They are not. And if you don't know what to do with these mutts, all of these shelters, you need to go ahead and euthanize them and stop using our tax money to take care of these worthless things.
Why Manatee County Animal Services is offering programs to help, including a way to get free pet food, waived adoption fees, and
free pet food. If you're going to give away food, why not find some humans to give it away to? No, they want to use our resources to give food to mutts. That's another problem. Our resources are being wasted, totally wasted. It could be used to feed people in need. And this is during the pandemic, where people are in need like never before. And who they want to give food away to? Dogs. That is outrageous.
And holiday fostering.
We're really hoping that our pets do find homes.
Hope in finding a home, a new family. Just like Latte did
No,
when she was
no,
adopted.
no. Dogs are not our family. The propaganda is thick, people, and this video is not even 2 minutes long, and they have piled on a bunch of propaganda just in this short little clip.
This is Latte. She's 11 and loves people, even though her
There you
people
go.
left her.
Loves people. Dogs don't love. And this same dog might have attacked someone in its life already. How do you know who that dog won't attack? So first of all, they can't love, and even if they could, you don't know who that dog loves. I'm trying to say they loves people. I guarantee you, this same mutt would bark at random people walking down the street. These same creatures that harass and threaten humans on sight, they project as loving people. Oh, they love people. No, they don't. They simply tolerate the idiots dumb enough to give them free food. Again, no other creature in existence gives another creature free food.
At the shelter.
The people were very frank with us that, they certainly couldn't take care of their pets anymore. They didn't know where they were going to be living.
Which is something Manatee County Animal Services says they're seeing way too much of. Since
using our tax dollars to build these stupid facilities to create dog food for these worthless mutants. This is what you're using our tax dollars for. That is infuriating. Infuriating. People, we should all be outraged. Using our tax dollars to build mutt hospitals. Right? When they may say animal hospital, it's primarily a dog hospital. Because these mutants have all types of health issues because they are mutants. They are not natural animals.
October, they've had a surge of people surrendering their pets. And in several cases, the animals were adopted when the lockdown started.
So these idiots, you remember early in this pandemic, these idiots went out and started to adopt dogs at a high rate. And now, since the pandemic has been prolonged, these same buffoons realize that it costs too much to maintain these mutts. So the same people that went on this adoption binge are the main ones giving these mutts away. And these people offering people free dog food, and they even said that they will babysit these mutts for free. Why are we treating these things like this? Like some type of royalty. Like they do nothing for us. We have starving people, children in the world. Use our tax dollars to feed them, the less fortunate. People who may grow up to contribute to this planet. That is what we ultimately need to look out for. The welfare of the planet itself. Dogs are toxic to the planet. Toxic. There is nothing positive that dogs do for this earth. They literally kill plant life. They pollute water. They destroy the ecosystem. They destroy every environment they enter into. And you want to use our tax dollars to feed and shelter these things? That is outrageous. And you have the audacity to project these things as the best friend of kids, leaving kids alone with these things. That is disgusting.
And now, because of the sort of extended struggles of COVID and the financial hardship people are facing, including evictions, that the pets are now ending up in the shelter
Look
of
at this.
COVID
Look
and
at
the
this
financial extended
nasty,
struggles of COVID.
wet nose, disgusting mutt. You would not tolerate a human being slobbering all over the place, walking up to you, putting their nasty, slobbery lips all over your face. But you tolerate it from a mutt. What is wrong with you? People have brain damage. These people are brain damaged people. These dog nuts, they are completely out of their minds. These nasty, slobbering, drooling, wet-nosed mutts. They're trying to tell you that these are so desirable. What do you get out of looking at these ugly things every single day? People are brain dead. Again, you know it's brainwashing when you look at the fact that these are ugly, ugly creatures. Very difficult to look at. Now, I show images of dogs because I want to speak negatively about them as you look at them. That way, when you look at them, you associate them with negativity because that is all they bring, negativity. Not all of this false positive stuff. No, that's all lies and propaganda. Again, there is nothing positive that people say about dogs that's actually true. Man's best friend, no, they are not. They are our worst enemy. No other animal attacks humans more than dogs. It's not even close. They are loving. No, it's been proven. They are incapable of love. They cannot love. They're always showing kids hugging dogs. And then, no, it's the very opposite. Even the experts tell you dogs don't like to be hugged, and they tell you it's dangerous and to never hug them. Dogs love kisses. No, they don't kiss. They lick you, and the experts tell you do not let these things lick you. Everything associated with these ugly, vile mutants is backwards. Everything positive is a lie.
COVID and the financial hardship people are facing, including evictions, that the pets are now ending up in the shelter, both through people giving up their pets to us through a surrendering process or sadly just letting them go.
Now,
What's so sad about it? Ain't nothing sad about getting this vile vermin out of your home. A home where most likely kids are present. That is intelligent. Get this ugly, stinking, dangerous, freeloading mutant out of the home. Nothing sad about that. See, again, everything positive they say about these things is actually backwards. It's reversed. You get it out of your home, now you are acting like an intelligent, moral person.
dogs like 11-year-old Latte are being hurt by the pandemic too, as the shelter fills up. Which is why Manatee County Animal Services is offering programs to help, including a way to get free pet food.
Why don't you give these people who are bringing these mutts into your shelter, why don't you simply give these people free food? You want to give away free food. These people are telling you, hey, I can't afford to take care of this worthless mutt. It sounds like the people need help. But no, they want you to take the mutt and then they're going to give you some free puppy chow. some free dog food to feed it. I mean, this is heavy propaganda surrounding these things. These things are treated like royalty among us, and it is infuriating. It is disgusting. They do nothing but destroy. They do nothing but contribute negative things to our society. And I'm sick of it. This is utterly infuriating. Now, this is hard to look at. Somebody sent this to me as well. This is difficult to look at. I'm telling you now, brace yourself. Because these are the same creatures that these people allow to lick all over them. These are the creatures that they allow to lick all in their face. They don't care what the dog was doing throughout the day. As soon as they get home, this thing starts to lick on their face, not kissing, but begging for food. Begging for food. These are the same creatures they allow to lick all over them. And you telling me something is wrong with me for refusing to come inside of your home? For refusing to allow you to touch me? Don't you put your hands on me when you letting something like this lick all over you. Are you out of your mind? You sick, nasty, disgusting, vile idiot. How dare you let something like this into your home? You have to be out of your mind. You are out of your mind. This mutant knows exactly. It's waiting for him, this dog, to defecate. It knows it's about to defecate. And it eats it up. And as soon as they walk through the door, they allow these things to lick on them. You wonder where all these diseases come from. These pandemics come from. If we were to separate ourselves from these mutants, I don't believe we get sick at all. Not at all. I believe the source of all of our illnesses comes from our consumption and close proximity with these creatures. This is why I refuse to let these dog nuts touch me. During the past couple weeks, I went to visit family. I refused to go over their home. I let them know before I even got on the road that I'm going to meet them in a public setting and to please sanitize your hands, your entire body, and do not let that mutt lick or touch you before you meet up with me. Right? This is how a civilized human behaves. Now think about why a country would do something like this. Many of you've seen this or videos like this before. Well, I guess, what is it, restricted? Okay, we'll watch it here. Think about it. Why would this even be necessary? If these are loving creatures, then they should be able to roam free like all the other animals. We don't cull birds. We don't cull squirrels or rabbits. Only dogs get culled. Why? Because it is only after so many calls have come in from parents that their kids were attacked on their way home from school, on the way to school, playing on the playground. And you notice these disgusting mutants, they invade our territory. They infest our territory like roaches. All the other animals are out in the wild, in nature, minding their business, living their lives. But as soon as we build neighborhoods, here comes the dogs, because they're not natural animals. All other animals are out in nature being animals. And if they are in our territory, they're not bothering us. Nobody gets attacked by rabbits or squirrels. It is only these mutants. These people in these countries, they're not getting off on culling these things. They don't even want to have to do it. But they have no choice because these things are such a nuisance, invasive, attacking people, spreading disease. It is the dogs that forced these people to exterminate them. Right? My point here is if they were so loving and desirable, why are there people in other countries forced to use their resources to exterminate them? This all costs money. Right? They need to pay these workers. They have trucks, all types of vehicles and machinery. It costs money. They have to waste their resources culling these things. Why? Because it's necessary. Because these things are nothing but trouble, nothing but vermin attacking people, large rodents, and they force humans to exterminate them. And the exact same thing would happen in this country if we were not as well off or wealthy as we are. I'm telling you, something happens, catastrophe, disaster strikes, and people can no longer afford to take care of these things. You're going to see these same dog lovers turn into dog killers. Because you're going to have 80 million dogs roaming around free, off leash, attacking you, attacking your family. See, when we live in a natural state in relation to dogs like we do all other animals, we are then forced to exterminate them. That is when dogs prove to us that they are our natural enemies. Natural enemies. And it is time that we categorize and describe dogs as just that. I don't care how many of them living in your home or how many dogs you've had relations with that you've been around. These things are our mortal enemies. Mortal enemies. And I will not tolerate this continued false projection of these things as loving, as some sort of gift to humanity. Many of you are aware of this sickening dynamic with this new president. I hope he does not get into office. I hope something happens that prevents him from becoming the next president. But this idiot hurt himself playing with that mud. And they wrote, I don't know how many articles celebrating this. The fact that a dog is going to be returning to the White House. This same disgusting vermin that forces other people to exterminate them. This overgrown rat, deified, projected as some sort of savior, right? And this idiot hurts his foot playing with it. And I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of any of these politicians. But I have to co-sign with Donald Trump's rejection of dogs. And you have to pay close attention to his words when he explained that he did not want a relationship with the people of this country based on his owning a dog. Remember, he said something like, his advisor said you should get a dog. It's good for relations. And Trump said, I don't want that kind of relationship with my people. What was he talking about? A phony, fake relationship. This is how dog nuts are. He has a dog, so I support him. See, once these dog nuts see that you are a dog nut, they put on this stupid, blank, fake smile, and they say, oh, he has a dog, so I support him. And everything that comes out of a fellow dog nut's mouth, they sit there with this stupid smile on their face, and they're supporting. Trump was saying that that is a fake type of relationship, to have people co-sign and support you simply because you have a dog. He was saying that he wants you to accept him based on his policies, on what he actually does in office. This superficial relationship, that is how these dog nuts operate. Everything is symbolism with these weirdos. Symbolism. Yes, they're like zombies out here. So I'm not a fan of any of these politicians, but I had to take my hat off when Trump had the courage to denounce, reject dogs in front of his own supporters during the rally. And that is how it should be done. Like I said before, this is reckless endangerment in the first degree. Right? You recklessly engage in conduct which creates a grave risk of death to another person. And not just death, but injury, right? Mutilation. When you create an environment that makes an attack possible, whereas before the dog entered the scene, there was no way a child could get mauled by a dog. It's not even possible if you don't have any in your home, in the community. But now that you bring dogs around, guess what? Now it's possible. Now dog attacks are possible. You stupid enough to bring that brainless mutt into the home, now it's possible for children inside of their own home, the place that they're supposed to be safe. Now it's possible for them to be mauled by a dog. That is an act of endangerment to the highest degree. All people who own dogs and they keep these dogs in the home with their children are committing a crime. And this is according to the actual laws. There's no way around it. We have to come to grips with the fact that many aspects of our culture today is backwards, that needs to be changed. And it shocks me when it requires a traumatic experience for some of these dog nuts to wake up. Now, this is the female I talked about earlier in the stream. I forgot that I even saved her post. Said, I hated dogs when I was young, and my dad had them. Then, after like 8 years of not living with a dog and seeing all those videos all over the internet about how awesome dogs are, I started to want one. Exactly what I was talking about. These commercials, the way these things are projected in the media and entertainment world, it is brainwashing people to want them. People, you have to think for yourself. Stop allowing people to tell you what you should want. She said, then I moved in with my boyfriend and his friend, and they both have dogs, and I'm miserable. I hate coming home because of these dogs. Does this sound like a person who is feeling relieved of stress when they are around a dog? They talk about dogs lower your blood pressure. Does it sound like her blood pressure went down or up in the presence of these mutts? Again, everything possible they say about these things is a lie, and it's actually the reversal of the truth. That my husband has me saddled with 2 dogs, and they make me depressed. Depressed, right? That goes directly against this claim that dogs ease depression. No, no, they increase depression, anxiety, and stress. How could it possibly relieve it when now you have to pick up after these things? You have to tolerate the noise violation, right? It is all lies, lies. And this is part of reality that we have to come to grips with, people. Now, I'm very disappointed with the medical industry, with these so-called doctors in the world. As many of you already know, I've talked about it several times, how these doctors and medical professionals, they fail us. Fail us. This is from WebMD, prominent source. Personality disorders affect 15% of Americans. People, that is a gross lie. That is a lie. There is a much higher percentage of this population of people with personality disorders. Dog lovers have a personality disorder. Again, they are endangering everyone. If you want a mutt, if you are one of these dog nuts, you have a personality disorder. But it's not in the medical industry's best interest to tell the truth. I really hate the way we are lied to as people. I hate it. And this goes for science and everything else. Again, it is part of my culture to fight forces of evil. And this is a very deceptive and sick type of evil, to withhold mental problems from the people who have those problems. Here we have a nation full of people where the majority of people have a personality disorder, and they don't even know it. The medical professionals withhold that information from them. Many of them, I'm quite sure, are not even aware of it themselves. You listening to this video, you are aware of it now, and going forward, you have no excuse. You have no excuse. There's a much higher percentage of Americans have a personality disorder. This is a bold-faced lie. This is the same article. Nearly 31 million Americans, 15% of the population, have at least one serious personality disorder, study shows. Whenever they say study shows, you have to question that. What study? Whatever study it was, you didn't see it. You didn't conduct the study. So you cannot take everything as truth when it comes from these mysterious studies. Right? It says in her study, more than 43,000 adults participated in telephone interviews, answering questions designed to help interviewers make a diagnosis of personality disorder. So it's at the medical care professionals at their discretion. A personality disorder is whatever they say it is. They can take any answer and say, oh, that's indicative of a personality disorder. How is this reliable? And I guarantee you, they didn't ask these people anything about their mutts. says, in tallying up the results, Grant found that women were much more commonly affected. Why should I believe that? Why should I believe that? Don't just believe things like this. And they try to put focus on different demographics, different groups. These people are more affected. Why should I believe that? It says, in addition, certain characteristics seem to increase the chances of having a personality disorder. Being Native American or Black, being a young adult, having low socioeconomics. Why should we believe any of this rubbish? Being divorced, separated, widow, or never married. How do you know that? How do you know that being divorced is what actually probably cured them of a personality disorder? They could have been in a abusive marriage or relationship. There are too many variables for them to just spew something out like this, and they expect you to take it as the truth. We're the professionals, and this is how it is. You're telling me that Native Americans, that Blacks have a greater chance of having a personality disorder. Do you know? And then they say having low socioeconomic status. People, just think about it. Use your common sense. The higher you elevate into this socioeconomic status, the more cold-hearted people often become. Because now you are a boss, a CEO, and you have to become accustomed to firing people. You become senseless, desensitized, emotionless. Many of the coldest, craziest people in society, they are holding down important roles. They are making a good living. There's a number of people in your own jobs, your workplace, managers who are always trying to stab people in the back, who are doing wrong by other people. Don't tell me that people who make more money are individuals with a more healthy mentality. Again, why should I believe that? Common sense debunks much of this nonsense. Obsessive compulsive disorder traits include obsessive neatness, perfectionism, and worrying. It is the most common personality disorder and affects 8% of adults, some 16 million people, cutting across all gender, income, marital, and regional groups. It is more common in whites than Asians and Hispanics. Why did they point out Asians and Hispanics? Is it more common in whites than, say, Blacks? Right? They just left Blacks out. So here they're trying to say that, well, whites are more neat. They're more fixated with being perfectionists. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but across all races, I've seen a lot of lazy people, nasty people, messy people. I deal with it every day at work. And these people of all races, how could they even determine something like that? On a telephone interview, remember, this was from a telephone interview. How did they conclude that these people over the phone were obsessed with neatness and perfectionism? Absolute rubbish. You have to be critical with all of these so-called studies. Paranoid personality disorders entails a generally distrustful view of situations and people, seeing deliberate threats everywhere. Affects 4% of adults, especially women, minorities, young. Here you go. Once again, women, minorities, and young adults are somehow more paranoid than everybody else. Why should I believe that? young adults between 18 and 29 years old, those with lower incomes and divorced or widowed, separated people, and with less than a high school education. So you did not complete high school. You were separated. Now you're paranoid. Right now you see a threat in every other individual. You don't make that much money. Now you're paranoid. Somehow now you view everybody as a threat. This makes no sense to me. I don't know about anybody else. This sounds like rubbish to me. These people are just throwing nonsense out at you. They are not taking their profession seriously. They refuse to acknowledge these dog lovers as people with personality disorders. I guarantee you the person who wrote this is a dog nut. And that is a problem because we can't even rely on the medical professionals to point out the problems associated with this dog nut culture. They've left it up to us, the citizens, to figure it out. Antisocial personality disorder affects 4% of adults. Do you really believe that only 4% of adults have an antisocial personality? It is much higher than that. Much higher than that. This culture itself is antisocial. Sarcasm is built into the fabric of our social relations here in this country. That's an antisocial personality disorder. Always being sarcastic and condescending. Don't tell me nothing about no 4%. And it's 3 times more common for men than women, especially young Native Americans with little income. Here you go again. Basically saying, oh, people with little income and minorities and women, these are troubled people with all types of mental disorders. This is nonsense. People with this disorder have no respect for other people and feel no remorse about the effects of their behavior. This person is impulsive, belligerent, irresponsible, aggressive, and violent. People, again, those in management positions seem to have absolutely no remorse whatsoever. They will curse you out, they will disrespect you, and it will be unnecessary, right in public, right in front of your coworkers. They, more than most people, seem to have no remorse, no care about your feelings, no empathy whatsoever. These are people in management, the upper echelon. But they're trying to tell you, oh, it's just poor people. Again, a bunch of nonsense. We are lied to everywhere we go. Look around the corner, nonstop. Even the professionals lie to us on a regular basis. Right? And here we go again. What? Schizoid personality disorder describes an introverted, solitary, emotionally cold person, just like I described with people in the upper echelon of society. They are cold people. Cold. I can't count how many I've run into. But I mean, people who are just cold and they are cruel to coworkers and people, cruel to people who are working class, who are on a really a poverty level. They're cold to these people. And they're saying that no, these people who make more money are actually the most normal people in society. That is rubbish. The insanity crosses all income levels. Person is fearful of closeness and intimacy. It affects 3% of adults, especially young blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics in the lowest income groups. What is with this obsession with blacks, Native Americans, Hispanics, and women? These are supposedly the most troubled people in society. So these people who make, the more money you make, you live out in the suburbs, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely normal. Why should I believe this? Avoidant personality disorder describes a person with excessive social discomfort. Now, this sounds like these dog nuts. That's why they need these mutts, right? Notice they're not even talking about these people with what? Emotional support dogs. They're telling you right to your face. They use these things to support their emotions. Oh, but nothing is wrong with these people, right? That's what you're telling me? You're telling me there's nothing wrong with these people who endanger their families, their offspring, put everybody's life at risk? Nothing's wrong with these people. Dogs are in what, 65% of homes. Let these so-called professionals tell it. There's nothing wrong with these people. We have to diagnose the population ourselves, people. All right, that is what these crusaders here are for. You're going to have to deal with the truth. I really hate being lied to, and especially by people who are supposed to be the professionals, the educated class. All right, and this nonsense, they babble on and on with these different issues. Dependent personality disorder. Submissive person requires excessive reassurance and advice. Affects 0.5%. And you know, how do they know how much of the population, what percentage of the population is affected when they haven't done research on the entire population? Nobody's ever asked me or screened me, did no psych evaluation with me. As they admit in this study, they only studied 43,000 people. Where did those people come from? Right? You have to look at the neighborhood, the city. They could have, went to the hood, trailer park, or they could have went to a college area. You can never totally depend on these stupid studies. They are worthless, in my opinion. And we have to keep an understanding of how much we're lied to. Look at history, how much we've been deceived here in this country, right? Now, I feel like I'm above racism. Racists don't bother me whatsoever because I view them as beneath me. Beneath me. But you have to keep in mind, over the decades, there's been a lot of propaganda, right? A lot of scientific racism, believe it or not. Now, this used to be the norm in this country, not just this country, countries all over the world where they specialized in propaganda and they called it science. And this was not that long ago. We're just talking about the late 1800s is when it started. Do you really think we have evolved that much today? Much scientific racism still exists. And just like we have to correct and eradicate nonsense that comes out of science, we have to do it with our very cultures. And that is our culture. It is our culture to combat forces of nature, forces of evil. We have been doing it ever since we've been in this country. They like to talk about slavery as if it involved a bunch of uh, docile slaves who just accepted their position in society, and all the white people They were slave owners, and they were wicked, evil people, and the slaves were so pitiful. And then one day, they just decided to let the slaves free. You really believe that? No. All throughout slavery, there were rebellions. Not only would the slaves rebel, but there would be whites assisting the slaves to rebel. That's why whites would also get lynched. This group we talk about today, right, that they refer to as N-word lovers, they've always existed, right? But they would punish these people and they would not write about them in the history books. What you see here are rebellions, rebellions that were documented. You can just imagine how many were not documented. The decision to end slavery had a lot to do with people becoming more and more afraid to own slaves. It was dangerous because quite often there would be black people assisted by white people, though they would break free, not only break free, but go around and free as many other slaves as possible. I remember down there in the Caribbean island, they were going around slave plantation after slave plantation, killing the slave masters, killing on sight. It became dangerous to own slaves. And people were like, look, I'm not trying to get killed. I know I don't want your slave. Keep your slave, right? I'll go pick cotton, pick tomatoes, right? I'll do all the yard work myself. At least I'll be alive. It was that type of atmosphere that helped to free those who were enslaved. You understand? So it's our culture to fight against injustice, against lies, against inhumanity, just like this freaking disgusting, weird old dog culture. It is no different. It is just another manifestation of this madness that we have had to deal with and have eradicated in the past. If we did it then, we can do it now, right? We can do it now. And you had, just like today, you got these stupid medical professionals, right, from WebMD failing at their job. You had the same thing back then. You had these writers, these educated people putting out straight up lies and propaganda, right? Arthur de Gobino, I believe it's Gobino, best known for his book, An Essay on the Inequality of the Human Races, 1853 to 1855, which proposed three human races, black, white, and yellow, were natural barriers and claimed that race mixing would lead to the collapse of culture and civilization. He claimed that the white race originally possessed the monopoly of beauty, intelligence, and strength, and that any positive accomplishments or thinking of blacks and Asians were due to an admixture with whites. His works were praised by many white supremacist American pro-slavery thinkers. This was coming from the professionals, people, the professionals. And we still have this same thing going on today in regard to these dog nuts. Our medical professionals today refuse to acknowledge these dog nuts as people with personality disorders, as people who are completely out of their mind. These people are absolutely nuts to the point where it's overt, where they are literally polluting our water, and people's kids and babies are being mutilated, attacked on a daily basis. But they're running this stupid propaganda today with these stupid commercials and all this crap brainwashing you into viewing this as something normal. It is not. Just like this was not normal or acceptable then or now, this dog nut culture is unacceptable. You look at the evolution of the human species. Like I said before, you look up all these animals, you see that they've been here tens of millions of years. Tens of millions. Some, they say, have been here hundreds of millions of years. Right? I believe I have one. Here is with horses. They're telling us that horses have been on this planet for 50 million years. Right? 50 million years. Just like with all the other animals, tens of millions. But yet, they get around to humans, they want to tell us we've only been here 200,000 years. Please, please. They are constantly lying to us, constantly feeding us false propaganda. Humans, we have been here on this planet in this current state, our form today. We did not come from no apes or no chimpanzees. We have been here for millions and millions upon millions of years, just like the other living creatures on this planet. And just like they used to feed us this nonsense back in the day, they're feeding us this dog nut nonsense today. Just like it was in our culture to combat that foolishness, this foolishness back then, it is in us to combat this foolishness today. We have to go hard against this nonsense, just like we did back then. They don't write about them, right? They don't like to write about the rebellions. They don't like to talk about the whites who condemned slavery, right? They just want to give you propaganda. That's it. Karl Vogt believed that the Negro race was related to the ape, right? You had an endless number of so-called, and these were educated people who actually co-signed and were the authors of this type of propaganda. Ernest Haeckel divided humans into 10 races, right? The other guy had 3 races. This guy broke humans into 10, which the Caucasian was the highest, and the primitives were doomed to extinction. He's also an advocate of the out of Asia theory, writing that the origin of humanity was found to be in Asia. Now, this was even more, I'm telling you, it's so much propaganda, because the Mesopotamians, Babylonians, these people never existed. There's never been a people called no Phoenicians. There are so many mythological people of history, it's not funny. History is very much fabricated, very much so. Right now, I am doing research on the works of several historians. Anatoly Fomenko, I highly advise people to get this series of work. He's a Russian mathematician. He questions history. Basically, he is saying that it was all made up, that there was no ancient Greece, there was no ancient Rome, there was no Mesopotamians, no Babylonians, none of that nonsense. All fairy tale. Another good read, The Chronology of Ancient Kingdoms by Sir Isaac Newton. Also, Professor Walter Williams, The Historical Origin of Christianity, where he also said there has never been anyone who walked this planet by the name of no Plato, no Socrates, none of those stupid philosophers They never actually existed. They're just like Santa Claus. Why do you think that there are no primary references? They have never found one shred of actual documents from that era. Everything they have is from the Middle Ages, from the Renaissance era. History actually started during the Middle Ages, the Renaissance era. And it was during that time that they invented these mythological histories. I'm also doing some research on Jean Hardouin and Nikolai Morozov. I encourage you, please check out the works. Do not be deceived like they're trying to do with us. Another issue. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of this. It's referred to as art forgery. Is the creating and selling of works of art which are falsely credited to other, usually more famous artists. And archaeological forgery, the manufacture of supposedly ancient items that are sold to the antiquities market. Now, these are some of the known archaeological forgeries. Basically, a team will go out somewhere and they will dig. They're looking for some ancient artifacts. Well, in the middle of the night, some people will get up and bury some fake artifact that they themselves made so that it'll be dug up and found the next day, and they can claim that they found some ancient whatever, and they can make up an entire civilization based on some stupid rock that they dug up. This is how much we are lied today. Just like then, they had this massive campaign of false propaganda. The same thing is going on today with this stupid dog nut culture. They would fake tablets, the Cardiff giant. Many of you heard of that. I know many people heard of the Piltdown Man. These are known forgeries, known frauds. They even have a small list of the forgers themselves. Same thing with art forgery. They made a bunch of art, a bunch of artifacts during the Renaissance era, and they literally fabricated history. They made up history, and it's all a fairy tale. These known art forgers and dealers. I mean, that is a pretty heavy list, and that's just the ones who have been busted. You can imagine how many have not been busted. This is the world we live in, people, where we are lied to by the educated class. It is these educated people who got the personality disorders, right? They're the ones who need help. They want to project it, oh, it's just the poor people. All these liars, there's nothing wrong with them. This is what they're trying to tell us. All right, so we have to be very, very mindful of that, right? This is what they try to tell us. The humans, not only the humans came from monkeys and chimpanzees, this is today. You will still find this propaganda today. And they basically saying that blacks are closer to the monkey or ape family than whites and Asians. And you can see these different types of humanoids, some of them just look like black people. Like this one, Homo erectus. That was one that was allegedly very close to Homo sapiens, right? Homo Neanderthal. This is what they're saying. Adolf Hitler based a lot of his propaganda on this belief that blacks were actually very close to the monkey kingdom. I mean, these are illustrations. You find this today. But yet somehow, like many professionals have come out and disputed this, said this is absolute rubbish. And you find people, everyday people, who dispute this. This was just some random comment left on a video where they're talking about the belief that humans came from apes. David Jones, a month ago, he said, I love how scientists are so smart they can find a bone in the dirt and explain to us that we came from an ape. What? No evidence for the evolution today, and there never will be. It's not true. But of course, everybody will believe the smart scientists that found a bone in the dirt. That proves we came from an amoeba, whatever that is. Well, sadly, it is false. We did not come from monkeys, and it is the biggest hoax in all of modern history. Why lie? Why so many lies? This is an era of lies, and we have to snap out of it. We have to snap out of it. Right? We cannot continue to knowingly be deceived. We have to fight against this nonsense. Right? They lie about our very origins. They lie about the origins of human beings. I mean, do you really believe that we just started to figure out how to farm like 8,000 years ago or some nonsense like that? There are certain groups who they trace back 60, 70, 80,000 years. What were they doing? How did they survive? How have they been around for so long? But again, traumatic experiences helps to wake people up. This person had to learn the hard way. And now it dawns on her or him that dogs belong outside, not inside the home. It says, is it normal to think dogs belong outside? It's sad that you even have to feel ashamed that you believe that. We're so brainwashed. We think dogs belong inside of our homes. So I used to like dogs. However, after marrying a man with 2 indoor dogs, I am fully convinced they should stay outdoors. These dogs poop and pee everywhere in the house, even though the doggy door is readily available and the sun is shining. I work 2 jobs and do not care to mop 3 to 4 times a day. Again, how can this lifestyle help reduce stress? How is this beneficial for humans to always run into urine on the floor, feces, mutt feces on the floor, having to mop and clean 3 to 4 times a day? And then they want to turn around and give us this propaganda that dogs help to relieve stress. No, they bring about stress. They make your life horrible. She talks about how they stink. Said these dogs stink if they aren't bathed every other day. If I pet them, I have to wash my hands afterward. This is a woman who's coming into touch with reality. Right? This is what happens when you break away from the propaganda, from all the nonsense and lies. You experience reality and then you change. My goal here is to help you not have to go through, because you obviously, these dog nuts, they are living this type of life and they've allowed themselves to adapt to it. You can get comfortable and content in any type of derogatory behavior. Serial killers, eventually they become obsessed and comfortable with killing people. Desensitized. Now it's nothing. Now they lust after it. When at first they were terrified, but they started to entertain the behavior. And you have to snap out of it. Say if she pet them, she have to wash her hands afterwards because her hands would stink. I mean, stench itself, foul odor, it tells us that something is wrong, right? Something ain't right. You need to correct something. Talk about how the dog would eat feces and its breath would stink. We just saw a video of the mutt eating another dog's waste. And these same creatures, they lick off. This is where our diseases are coming from. And she is disgusted. She said, yet my husband allows it to lick him in the face. Yuck. This is all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying, people. Wake up. Wake up. Use your common sense. These dogs sleep on the couch all day. Then my husband joins them on the stinking couch from the time he gets home until bedtime. I am forced to sit across the room in the recliner because there is not enough room for me on the couch because he's on the couch with these mutts. Then every single night, the dog starts barking and whining during the night. Again, how is this relieving stress? How does this make your life better? This is a breaking away from the propaganda and the BS in dealing with reality. But as you deal with it, you have to step back and analyze it, like she did. And my husband actually leaves our bed and sleeps on the couch with the dogs for the remainder of the night. Wow. Wow. Sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. until dawn. We have only been married for 10 months, and I think this is bizarre. I think the dogs belong outside. Wow. So you can see how we are struggling, caught in between propaganda and reality, right? These people, they have not waken up out of their stupor yet. And it infuriates me to see people today who have given up even trying to fight. That's what this channel is about. This platform is about fighting against evil, against primitive behavior, just like we've always been doing, just in different forms, in different ways. You got to view this crusade. This is not something new, right? I went over some of the history to give you an example. We have been fighting against derogatory, primitive behavior for as long as we've been in the Western Hemisphere, and it is because of those fights that we've been able to grow and evolve. Had we not had people like us at the grassroots fighting, today we'd still be the same as we were when we first got over here, and totally unevolved. So this is nothing new. Getting rid of these mutants is our job, right? We have to redirect our energy away from these worthless mutants and back onto ourselves, onto our family, our neighbors. The more we have fallen into this dog nut culture, the worse off families have become. Before this dog nut culture, family structures were stronger, right? You go back far enough, you find a totally different family structure. It has gotten worse the more we've fallen into this degenerate, disgusting dog nut culture, right? And it has to stop. It has to stop. We cannot continue to remain silent while these psychopaths project these overgrown rats as deities, as some type of savior to humanity. No, they are a burden. to our society, a burden in every way possible. They are even a burden, they are even taxing to our eyesight. Our eyesight. These things are uncomfortable to even look at for me. And this is the type of culture that we need to become more and more popular, right? We need to bring this dog nut culture to its knees. We've done it before in several other ways, and we can do it again. I want to thank everyone. Thank the moderators, the contributors. I see some super chats, very appreciated. We will continue with this merciless crusade against these worthless mutants and their enabling owners.